one more hand for our guests today. So glad you're here. Thank you. Listen, we celebrate the fact that all of y'all have gathered in this place live today, but then we got a whole bunch of people in the virtual audience. Can we celebrate the virtual members and visitors and guests and friends? We celebrate y'all. Thank y'all for plugging in with us today. A whole lot of streams. You skipped over to get to this one, and we're excited about it. Do me a favor. I need you to serve. I need you to do some work today. I need you to be a digital disciple, electronic evangelist. Smash the share button. Text somebody, hit the @ symbol, type somebody's name in that's late for church. Let's get them here. Let's get them plugged in. Because if you're getting something out of this virtual experience, I promise you, somebody in your circle of influence will as well. And so we celebrate you and we thank you for plugging in with us today. We so appreciate you. One more hand for our online viewers that have connected with us today. But listen, we've got guests that are with us today from far away. And this ought to make some of y'all that said, I was going to go to church, but I feel a lazy spirit hit me. And I'm just going to stay in the crib, watch on YouTube, watch on the stream, watch on Facebook. I want y'all to feel real bad right through here. I'm going to drive this stake all the way in your heart. Because we've got some guests that come a long way that wanted to worship with us. And I know some of y'all think I'll be lying up here sometimes. He talking about all these people watching us from all these different places. He just making up stuff. He lying. Well, I wanted to show y'all I got receipts today. I got receipts that have showed up in the building. You all have heard me mention that we've got family and friends that watch us all the way in the UK, over in London, that tune in. They're 6 hours ahead of us, so it's evening time when they're watching our worship experience. And guess what? They loved it so much that they jumped on the plane to fly here to be here and worship with us today. Can we celebrate them? Jasmine and German and Sharon, thank you so much for coming all the way across the pond to kick it with us today, to worship with us. So again, for those of y'all who live in Chatham, who live on the south side, who live on the west side, shame on you for not getting on the Dan Ryan or the Bishop Ford to come over here to worship. We're so excited that y'all are here and hope that you're enjoying your time in Chicago. They're going to kick it with us on the beach. Y'all know we're going to the beach today. Why y'all acting brand new? Or you telling on yourself that you ain't been in church, you ain't been paying attention to what we're doing? Okay, let me help some of y'all. After church today, we going to the beach. One of our members owns a restaurant there on the beach. Reggie's on the beach. That's 31st, 63rd, 60-something. That's it. Y'all know where it is. Just ride on Lakeshore Drive. You're going to see black people. That's where you park. Walk down to the beach. We hanging out there at Reggie's at the beach. So I'm going to give y'all time to go home, get your bikinis, get your G-strings. Y'all acting real brand new. It's the beach. What y'all gonna wear at the beach? Fully clothed, huh? Y'all wanna act like y'all Pentecostal holiness. Don't do that. We got guests and y'all lying already, just showing out. Show your flesh today. Get a little tan. And listen, we're gonna have fun, we're gonna kick it, we're gonna relax. Our meetup time is at 11. Some have registered because you need transportation, you wanna ride, that's cool. We're gonna have that available for you. If you didn't sign up, can they still sign up? Can they still get on the bus? It's still available? All right, we'll make room for you. We'll throw you in the trunk and make room for you to ride with us. We just gonna have fun, relax, chill, kick it. So if you see somebody with a drink that got an umbrella in it, don't be getting all snooty tooty. Get you one too, it might loosen you up. Be free. We all grown. We gonna have fun. We're gonna relax, we're gonna kick it, we're gonna mix and mingle with people that we don't normally sit with. We're gonna gossip, fan flies, tell lies, all that stuff we do. We're gonna have fun and we're gonna celebrate one of our members as we did last week. Y'all showed up for Lim's Barbecue. Thank y'all for pulling up over there. We're pulling up at Reggie's on the beach today. We're gonna support us, because if us don't support us ain't gonna make it. And so we want to make sure that we're supporting our own, especially when they're members of our church. And so that's what's happening today after worship. But there's something else. I've got homework for y'all to do already. Y'all like, this is only your third week and you're giving us work to do. Yes. We need a full accounting of who all is a member. You know, with COVID, some people have decided not to come back into the building, and we don't see y'all all the time, and we really don't know who's who. And I need to kind of know who's with us. And it's cool if you're not no more. We just need to know so that we don't bombard you or call you or give you stuff that you don't want to be plugged into. So here's your opportunity to refresh your information. Some of y'all didn't give us your real number. You gave us the bogus email that you don't check or respond to. We need your real information. You're going to miss out on the blessing. So here's what you do. There's a QR code on the screen. If you got your phone, you can just pull that up and you can go in and fill in the information to let us know that you're still a member, that you want to give us your updated information. Go ahead and do that. For those of you all who can't grab the QR, if you just want to go to the website, the church website, you're able to access it there. Simply go to the website. There's a tab there that says resources. Click that. And then there's another tab that says member information. And you can fill it in right there. And I see some of the seasoned saints saying, I ain't got no QR. I don't know what that is. I ain't going on no computer. We got paper for you. Old school. We analog. Yep. We meeting everybody. Y'all heard we did some old school devotion with an up tempo. We're trying to meet everybody. I was waiting for a deacon to come out and kneel down on one knee and pray. Y'all ain't old school. Y'all forgot about that portion, what we used to do. But listen, we've got paper for you to fill out to make sure we've got all your information. We want to stay in touch with you, plug in, and make sure that we're fully connected with you. And then one more thing, I got some good news for y'all today. Some real good news. I made an ask last week that we would do something, at least 50 of y'all would give an extra $10 in the offering because there were some young people that wanted some Bibles that didn't have access to Bibles. And guess what? Y'all did it. They got access to Bibles. So thank y'all so much for what you did to help out these young people as they want to develop and grow their relationship with Christ. And some of y'all are like, I wasn't here. I didn't get a chance to give. Guess what? You still can. But listen, that project is complete. And so here's what we're about to do. Every month, we're going to do something that blesses people. And guess what we're going to call it? Great Things. Building off of the legacy of our pastor emeritus and great things, every month we're going to do some great things. And so that was our great things for this month. Next month, we got some cool, great things to do. Hold your suspense till next week. I'll unveil it, roll it out for you. So just start putting some extra money to the side so that we can fulfill this obligation and do some great things in the lives of some more young people that are needing and deserving of great things to happen for them. Thank y'all for what you did last week. And thank you for what you're going to do in the future. Well, listen, praise team is going to come and bless us. I'm going to give y'all a word and then we're going to head to the beach.
to look at my troubles.
How to look at my troubles.
Come on, sing it, y'all. And walk right on through.
And walk right on through.
If you need to know.
If you need to know
God's plan.
God's plan for your life.
Get in the spirit.
Get in the spirit. Let the Lord minister to you.
While I was in the spirit, God changed some things. He explained some things. Arranged some things. While I was in the spirit. God broke down some things that I needed to know. Have you ever been broken before the Lord? You were down on your knees, down on your knees, down on your knees, wondering which way to go. You need to go.
If you need to know
God's plan. Get in the spirit.
get in the spirit, let the Lord
Oh Lord.
oh
Chronicles chapter 4, verses 9 through 10, we find it reading this way in the NIV. Jabez was more honorable than his brothers. His mother had named him Jabez, saying, I gave birth to him in pain. Jabez cried out to God of Israel, Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me and keep me from harm, so that I will be free from pain. And God granted his request. For our time of sharing this morning, allow me to hang this homiletical headline above the text. Headline reading, Identity Theft. You might be seated. Beginning in 1966, with the federal government's mandate targeting cigarette packaging, warning labels have been employed to inform Americans that coffee is hot, sleeping pills cause drowsiness, and Tide Pods aren't suitable for human consumption. Whether mandated by federal or state law, or voluntarily affixed by manufacturers, warning labels are precautionary proclamations presented to prepare people for the possibility of the problematic and the painful. These warnings provide requisite risk information, positioning individuals to determine if the rewards outweigh the risk and to decipher if proper precautions have been prepared. While warning labels on products have been proven to pivot perspectives, cut consumption, and reduce risk, I oftentimes wonder how warning labels on people might likewise prove to preserve and protect us from the problematic, Reverend Davidson, and the painful. I wonder how many relationships would not have been ruined if that individual came with a label that read, warning, exposure to this person's negative energy can lead to feelings of self-doubt, anxiety, and even depression. Shield yourself by maintaining a positive mindset and seeking support from others. I wonder how many marriages would not have been marred if that spouse had come with a label that read, warning, this individual may unconsciously transfer emotions, feelings, and expectations from their past onto the present. Practicing patience and creating a supportive environment will be essential for sustainability. I wonder how many friendships wouldn't have been fractured if that now frenemy had come with a label that read, warning, this person often prioritizes their own needs over others, showing little empathy or consideration. Be mindful of setting healthy boundaries to protect your own well-being. I wonder how many arguments would have been avoided if the conversation partner had come with the label that read, warning, you're likely to encounter mood swings and inconsistent behavior as a result of deep issues that aren't immediately apparent. Approach them with an open heart and willingness to foster positive connection. I wonder how many homicides would have been halted if the assailant had come with a label that read, warning, engage with empathy and rationality, as this person's decision-making ability might be guided by powerful emotions that lead to impulsive actions. New covenant, if only we'd been warned. If only we'd been warned that they were having a bad day. If only we'd been warned that they were in the midst of a mental health crisis. If only we'd been warned that their PTSD had been triggered. If only we'd been warned that they'd been raised on survival rather than love. If only we'd been warned that their promise and their potential would never turn into performance nor production. If only we'd been warned that we were meeting their representative rather than their reality. How could we have altered our approach if only we'd been warned? Interesting enough, however, is the fact that in spite of our heavenly manufacturer opting to not include instructions nor warning labels for the Creator's most interesting and intricate product, we yet find so many people wearing so many labels placed upon them by other people who apparently have self-appointed themselves to the Consumer Product Safety Commission. They ain't got no credentials, they ain't got no credit hours, they ain't been to no classes, but yet we find them running to and fro, categorizing and classifying people with reckless abandon. Oh, I see the look on some of y'all's faces. And you looking back at me as if to say, Stephen, I feel seen. Well, let me pause here long enough to holler at you. Let me pause here long enough to go ahead and preach to some of the pseudo-psychiatrists and pseudo-psychologists that are running reckless with your Facebook and Wikipedia degrees. Just because somebody does something that you don't like or don't agree with, don't make it or them toxic. Let me come this way and address this issue. Just because a person has a strong and or stubborn personality, don't make them a narcissist. Unlearn all of that. And I get it. Social labeling and categorization are deeply embedded aspects of our human nature. It's something that we've been doing innately since childhood. It's a part of our survival instincts. It helps us to put people where we need to put people so we'll know what to do with people. It makes us feel safe as we engage with humanity. And while the warning labels that we place upon people might seem to be innocuous and innocent, the reality of the matter, New Covenant, is that they can be harmful and hindering, as labels possess the power to handcuff, to hold back, and to hamper the potential and the progress of people through self-fulfilling prophecies. Now, I get it. Your aim was just to categorize them. But what if in reality, you really just put them in a cage? I know that you just meant to label, but what if in real life, you created a limit? I get that your intent was to inform, but what if all you did was to inflame stereotypes and prejudice, warning labels, while they were created to be seen as an asset? In many instances, they've served as assassins, killing dreams, killing desires, killing destinies that have been designed by God. And I know as a people, we know what it feels like to have your dreams and your destinies and your desires assassinated because of a label. As a people who are plagued by prejudice, burdened by bias, and ravaged by racism, we know firsthand the devastating and decimating dereliction that's delivered by identity theft. When a revisionist narrative starts your story at slavery, ignoring the preceding chapters of an advanced society with complex political structures, avant-garde architecture, and vibrant cultures in the motherland, we see the liability of a label. When the birth of a nation, which actually led to the birth of Hollywood, this 3-hour visual of vitriol and racist propaganda, creating a political and social justification for prejudice, racism, and discrimination, is still effecting incalculable harm towards black people 108 years after its debut. We can see clearly the liability of a label. When racial bias shows up through adultification, in which black children are perceived as older, larger, hypersexual, less innocent, more physically threatening, and less in need of protection than their white peers. Oh, don't believe me? Ask Trayvon Martin and Ralph Yarl. It's clear that labels perpetuate liabilities. The data shows that black children are 18 times more likely than white children to be criminally sentenced as adults when in fact they're children compared to white children. The data says that black children are more likely than white children to be suspended from school and receive harsher penalties for the same infraction. The data says that black children are more likely than white children to be classified and mislabeled and placed in special education classes. The data says that this country, black children don't get the luxury of their innocence being pursued and protected. And I know that some of us take issue with how Mayor Johnson has pushed back against how black young people have been classified in this city. But what he knows that I also know as a degreed sociologist, I understand that labels can be liabilities. Listen, for those of y'all who ain't picking up what I'm putting down, let me help you to understand what I'm saying. When you paint black youth as a nuisance, as a menace, as impulsive and brutally remorseless, you amplify racist stereotypes that dehumanize them, framing them as expendable in the eyes of police, policymakers, and the public at large. From our collective tribulation to our individual episodes, labels have hurt us more than they've helped us. But New Covenant, what if? What if you decided to lift the limits of your label? What if you decided to ascend beyond what you've been ascribed and assigned? What if you put in the work to show that the warning label that's been assigned to you is worthless? New Covenant, I've got a novel idea. What if you started to think differently about yourself? What if you discarded and divorced yourself from the labels that have been applied to your life to define you and demean you and diminish you and discredit you and destroy you? What if? Well, what if you rid yourself of the reputation and said, allow me to reintroduce myself? And you're sitting there saying, Stephen, that sounds good. But the problem that I have with what you're saying is that I've worn this label for so long that I don't know if removing it from myself is actually a reality. The labels that I've been assigned in life have led to self-fulfilling prophecies, fostering for me, Stephen, this feedback loop where my beliefs about myself influence my actions towards others, which then impacts how others believe me to be, which then calls others to act in particular ways towards me, which then reinforces for me my beliefs about myself. And the cycle keeps perpetuating itself over and over and over. And Stephen, if I'm honest, I just don't know if I can see myself as anything other than what I've been told about myself. You keep challenging me to think different. You keep challenging us to reimagine. You keep challenging us to consider what if. But my grade school teacher told me that I'd never amount to anything. My father told me through his absence in my life that I wasn't worth anything. My background, my criminal record, it tells me that I'm not worthy of anything. And even sometimes when I come to church, them church people tell me that I'm nothing more than a sin-filled, filthy rag. I've been living under the weight of these warning labels, that the label has framed my lifestyle and my condition has become my comfort zone. And Stephen, if I'm honest with you today, I just don't know if I can see my life any other way, because my label has become the lens on my life. Listen, Deacon Whitehead, I understand, I know, I get it, that recovering from identity theft can be a painful process, requiring patience and persistence. But the good news, that's what y'all supposed to shout. Let me back that thing up. I know that recovering from identity theft can be a painful process, requiring patience and persistence. But the good news, y'all got it, y'all rocking with me here. The good news is that it's possible. And nowhere is this possibility presented more perfectly than within the text before us today. For as we penetrate the periphery of this particular pericope, we find a man whose life is liberated and his legacy is launched, all because he refused to allow his label to limit him. Here in the 4th chapter of 1 Chronicles, we meet a man named Jabez in the midst of the genealogy of Judah. And while the text is traditionally preached from the perspective of a prayer and the prospect of prosperity. I'd like to suggest to us today, New Covenant, that before we can talk about enlarging, we first need to look at evolving. Here it is that we want to talk about enlarge my territory. You can't enlarge your territory until you evolve your thinking. From the moment of this man's birth, the text tells us that Jabez is assigned a warning label that essentially infringes upon his identity and his individuality. A name is the first gift that a parent gives to their child, and that name is important because it marks a child's place in this world. It's a symbol of their identity, a signal of the parent's expectations of this child in this world. And here in the text, as a result of what Jabez's mother experienced in labor, she extends a label to her son, naming him Pain. It's in this moment, it's in this act that she transfers her trauma, trapping Jabez in a cycle that leads him to live a life that prioritizes and perpetuates pain. Think about it, members. Every time Jabez interacts with somebody, he introduces them to pain. Everywhere Jabez goes, pain is now present. Every conversation that Jabez engages in, a painful perspective is communicated. In every thought, there's pain. In every act, there's pain. In every touch, there's pain. In every idea, there's pain. In every dream, there's pain. In every relationship, there's pain, because this man has been labeled as pain. At his birth, Deacon Whitehead, his mother could have blessed him. But Sarita, instead, she burdens him with a warning label. And I wonder who I'm talking to in this place today. And even in the virtual space, who like Jabez has been living life with a stolen identity. You spent all these years bearing a burden that's not been yours to carry. You've been living this life, toting around this trauma that was only placed on you through transference. You've been loyal to a label that was loaned to you with bad terms and conditions. And unbeknownst to you, you've normalized the abnormal. A New Covenant, I pulled up on you today to simply suggest to you and to serve as an alert to you that the warning label that you've been living your life with, it's defective. This warning label that you've been wearing for all these years, that's been limiting your life, I've come to serve notice to you today that it's a defective warning label. And today is the day that you've got permission to pull it off. Look, I don't know the events that led up to it, nor do I know the situation that's surrounding it. The text is inconclusive, but what I do know is that at some point, Jabez decides to rehabilitate his reputation and rebrand himself by tearing that label off of his life. In the text, verse 9 tells us that his life is liberated as his label shifts from pain to praiseworthy. And the look on some of your faces is saying, Stephen, that's good. We celebrate that. We're excited for what the Lord has done in Jabez's life. We're glad that he pulled his label off. That's cool. We're excited about it. We praise the Lord for it. We see what happened. But Stephen, can you help us to understand how it happened? Stephen, if you're going to shout me today, you're going to have to move past the what to the how. How is it that Jabez gets liberated from a label that he wore his whole life? That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked, because there's a great answer right here in this text. Verse 10 says, Jabez cried out to the God of Israel, "Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me and keep me from harm so that I will be free from pain." Here Jabez teaches us that if we're going to live beyond the limits of our label, we've got to connect to God through supplication to get help to control our inflammation. Y'all missed it. Let me back that thing up. Jabez here teaches us in the text that if we're going to find liberation from the limits on our life based upon the warning labels that have been placed upon us, the first thing that we have to do is to connect with God through supplication so that he can help us to control our inflammation. It's through prayer and personal accountability that Jabez was able to find liberation from his label. Oh, let me say that one more time, because some of y'all missed it. Y'all missed it because you sweet children of God are so heavenly minded that some of y'all ain't no earthly good. Why do I say that? Because you always want to use prayer as an excuse to be lazy. You see the prayer in the text, and that's where you stop. But let me help you to understand that maybe that's why you still wearing your label, because all you want to do is pray. The text says that it's through prayer and personal responsibility and accountability that we're able to find liberation from our label. Yes, there's divine sovereignty, but there's also some human responsibility. You sitting there looking confused like a deer in the headlights, so let me slow this train down so we don't leave you. Stephen, I see the supplication in the text. I see the prayer. It says that right there, that he cried out to God of Israel. I get it. There's the supplication, there's the prayer, but I'm lost on the inflammation. You had me, but then you lost me. No problem, let me find you. I got you. Look at the text. When we read the text, verse number 10, in English, the English translation says this: Jabez cried out to the God of Israel, "Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me and keep me from harm so that I will be free from pain." That's what the English version of the text says. But this is Old Testament, and the original language of the Old Testament is Hebrew. Y'all just happen to be serving under a pastor that speaks Greek and Hebrew. And when I read the text in Hebrew, Reverend Davidson, I saw a linguistic nuance that changed my perspective on this text. When I read the Hebrew of the text read like this: "And Jabez called on the God of Israel, saying, Oh, that indeed you would bless me and enlarge my territory, that your hand would be with me, that you would keep me from evil, that I may not cause pain." Y'all missed it. It's cool. It was just a subtle linguistic nuance, Don, but I think that I can still lay this hay where the horses can get to it. In English, the text reads, "God, keep your hand upon me so that they don't get me and I ain't got to suffer no pain." That's the English. But when you read it in the Hebrew, the text says, "God, keep your hand upon me so that I don't get them and I don't have to cause nobody to suffer with no pain." Y'all still not getting it. How about I Thurstonize the text and maybe you can get it that way. In the Hebrew, when I Thurstonize the text, Jabez says, "God, I know me and what's inside of me. And if you don't keep your hand on me to keep what's in me from coming out of me, I'm going to hurt somebody. So keep your hand upon me to control me." Y'all got it that time. Jabez in the text recognizes his condition, but he rejects his disposition. And if you and I are going to ascend beyond what we've been ascribed, we're going to have to first face it before we can fix it. Listen, we all know that lying ain't good. We understand that at times it's needful and necessary, but overall, lying ain't good. But the worst kind of lie that you can tell ain't a little white lie. The worst kind of lie is the lie that you tell to yourself that you didn't believe about yourself that you told to yourself. What you saying, Stephen? Some of y'all need to quit lying to yourself about the labels that you're wearing in life. He recognized his condition, but he rejects his disposition. Some of us have been lying to ourselves about these labels we're wearing. We got to be honest. Jabez pushed past his pain through prayer and personal accountability. And the good news for you and I is that the same can happen for us too. Here's the reality. You've been living with that label for far too long, and it's not indicative of who God says that you are. It's not emblematic of the power and the potential that God has placed within your life. Listen, I'm just trying to challenge you to think differently about yourself, to think differently about your life, to think differently about your legacy, to think differently about the labels that you've been living with, so you can stop sitting on the premises and start standing on the promises that God has prepared for your life. How much longer you gonna keep living beneath your promise and your potential? How many more promises that God has given to you are you gonna leave on red? All because you ain't ready to accept the fact that what you say about yourself is not what God has said about you. God keeps making promises, you keep leaving them on red because you've lied to yourself through the labels that have been placed upon yourself, thinking you ain't ready, and God is waiting to blow your mind. Jabez pushed past his pain. And this week, I want you to be challenged to push past your pain and your procrastination. I need you this week, if you will, to just take a little time. Ms. Nash, I need us to take a little time for introspection. Take some time to look at the labels that you've been wearing. Take some time to trace the trauma that you've been carrying back to whoever transferred it to you. To take the time to lament the loss that's been levied against your life as a result of identity theft. Take some time to look at your life and consider, what if? What if I pulled the warning label off? What if I got treatment for my trauma? What if I use the insurance that they give me on this job to go see a therapist, to work through some stuff that's holding me back for what God has designed me for? What if? I stopped trying to walk around New Covenant acting like everything's all right in my life when I'm broken on the inside. What if I got vulnerable? What if I told the truth? What if I engaged in transparency? What if I took the message and applied it to my life? What if these labels that are attached to me were no longer limiting me? What would my life look like? What would our church look like? What could I do? What could I accomplish? What could I achieve? What if? The Federal Trade Commission estimates that it can take approximately 6 months of work to recover from identity theft. And I don't know how long it took Jabez, Jasmine. I don't know how long it's going to take you. I don't know how long it's going to take me. But what I do know is with prayer, patience, persistence, personal accountability, and a compassionate community of Christ followers that are committed to walk with us and love us and lean on us and lean back on them and carry us and comfort us. I'm talking about us being a collective community that cares about one another. If we would just connect to one another and provide a safe space for people to share, I believe that all of us will be able to reclaim our identity, rewrite our narrative, and rebrand our reputation as we reclaim the identity that our heavenly manufacturer intended for us to have when the Creator created us. I get it. Your identity has been stolen. But the good news today is that you've got the power to take it back. Can you imagine how amazing we'd be if we just saw ourselves the way God created us to be? Father, we thank you and we bless you now for the life of Jabez. Thank you for what he teaches us through this text. that in spite of being born into broken conditions, in spite of labels being placed upon us that we didn't earn or deserve, in spite of the trauma that's been transferred to us by our parents who were broken, and because we recognize that hurt people end up hurting people, God, help us to be like Jabez and say that the pain stops here. The pain stops with me. I know that somebody said that this was my purpose in life, but I'm deciding to rip the label off today. God, give us the power to make that decision, to make that move. God, we recognize that it can be scary because the devil that we do know is better than the devil that we don't know. Some of us have been living under the weight of these warnings because we're afraid of what freedom looks like. Help us today to step out on faith. Help somebody that's in this place that came here struggling to recognize that they've got permission to take the label off. God, the only label that we want to wear is the one that you assigned to us as your child, as your creation. God, we recognize that in spite of what anybody has said about us, we're loved by you, and that trumps it all. It washes away the dirt and the grime that we've been carrying. It washes away our sins and our frailties. It cleanses us. It washes us. It makes us whole. It mends us back together where we're broken. And thank you for loving us in spite of us. God, we leave from this place today different from the way in which we come. Like the young man in the video, when he found out he was loved, the labels fell off. And God, we're leaving here with some work for the cleaning crew to do. Because when we leave this sanctuary, it's going to be a whole lot of labels that are left on the floor. Thank you for liberation. Thank you for freedom. Thank you for deliverance. Thank you for breaking some yokes today. Thank you for breaking us out of bondage. We coming out the paper because we feeling brand new. Thank you for doing it for us today, God. And we pray now that if there's somebody in the virtual space or even in this place that's been sitting through this service saying, what if I decided to connect with Jesus? What if I decided to invite Christ into my life? If they've been raising the what if, God, prick their heart now to say it's time to make a move. God, it's our desire that you would allow them to overcome any fear, frustrations, any anxiety about connecting with Christ or even connecting with the church that's full of people that love them and care for them and are willing to do life with them in spite of where they are. God, thank you for how you're moving in this place even right now. This is the prayer that we lift in Jesus' name. Let the saints shout, amen. Everybody standing. Maybe you're one of those people that I mentioned in that prayer that's saying, what if? What if I decided to change my life? What if I decided to connect with Christ? What if I decided to stop trying to do it my way and try to do it God's way? What if I connected with a church? I've heard bad things about churches, but...
Thank you for viewing our worship service today. You can join us each Sunday morning at 9 o'clock a.m. right here in the sanctuary or on any of our streaming platform sites, Facebook, YouTube, or our church website. You can also view our services each Sunday morning at 11 o'clock a.m. on Chicago Cable Channel 25. Like, share, subscribe, and join our movement. If this ministry has impacted your life in any way, we ask that you consider becoming a financial partner by giving via the Givelify app. You may also give via our church website, www.newcovenantnbc.com. By mailing your donation to P.O. Box 198217, Chicago, Illinois 60619, or by bringing your contribution to the church office at 754 East 77th Street. Again, thank you so much for joining us. We love you, we are praying for you, and we'll see you next week. Be blessed.